What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about GoldFinch GFI today on this, the 16th of April. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, we have 1 hour and 12 minutes left in the day. You're at about 69.49 cents, 69.49 cents, down 16% today, but coming off of yesterday's 55% pump, that's not too bad, right? We call this standard volatility in the biz, right? That's some standard volatility. From relative high to the relative low, you've dropped 31% already. I think you're good enough to keep going, man. I mean, going to the upside. You could go lower. It is possible, and I think we should take that into consideration. From a low to a high, you have gone below your 382. It's very common with strong moves, and this I would say is a strong move, to find support just below your 382 like this and then close above the 382. So if in the next hour or so, if you can bring this day to close above 71.4 cents, I think that would look really nice. If not, you do run the possibility of going down to maybe this area for support or even the golden ratio for support. You've kind of already gone in this area though, so one way or another, close above this line, it'll look ideal. Close below the yellow line, whatever. Maybe you go down to the golden ratio at 60 cents, 56 cents, but one way or another, I think GFI is just getting started, right? I think we're going to see a continuation of this move and a breakout of this overall downtrend that you've been in for a long time, right? You've been in this downtrend for quite a while, man. You topped off back in March of 2024, so over a year, and you've just continued to drop down. It got more intense. You kind of had this parabolic curve, and now I think you're going to V-bottom, V recover out of this, right? You're going to see some kind of immaculate recovery back to the top of the V. I think you're going to see an immediate growth all the way up to 247, right? Essentially. And I don't think it stops there. I think, maybe by the end of May, you're up here. By the end of June, you're at these high prices or maybe even higher than that. I think you're going to see a lot of growth in a very short amount of time. If we're looking at this from in this kind of context, right? Back here, when you're at this same price, it took you all that time to move up to these highs. I think it's going to take you a lot less time this time. I think you're going to move up in a lot more robust of a way than you had before. But time will tell. We'll see how it goes. GFI, GoldFinch here, promoting about, at a $54 million market cap, $55 million market cap, having about $8 million in volume. That's nice. It's a good ratio to have. That's desirable volume here. Looking at it on a weekly basis with the RSI in mind. Actually, before we get to this, I want to look at the short-term stuff just to see if we are going lower. Rejecting the overbought zone like that, yes, wouldn't be crazy if you went lower, but are you at the 60? You're at the 60, aren't you? You're just below the 60 actually. So coming up would be nice. The 4 hour kind of looks like it wants to go down. I mean, you're in here, you're pretty strong. You could continue to go down and still inevitably go higher, forming a higher low here. That wouldn't be a problem at all. I wouldn't necessarily say that you look like you want to go down, just more that you can afford to go down and be fine. And with how you're acting, it wouldn't surprise me necessarily. 1 hour time frame looks like it wants to go down. So yeah, flat base here, descending highs. You probably do. You probably see GFI move down a little bit lower from a low to a high, being that you've gone below the 382 twice now. The minimum expectation would be 65 cents. And maybe you find support there. A lot of cryptos have been finding support at their 0.5s, but the golden ratio is a keen area as well. It's about 60 to 56 cents. So 65, 56, somewhere in that area. You're at 69.6 cents now, so a little bit lower and then some higher prices to go. I'm anticipating GoldFinch here sees an immaculate amount of growth in a very, very short amount of time, right? We're going to see, I would expect by the end of June, prices that are above this high there, and that already gives you about an 8.8x, right? Almost a 9x in growth from the current price, let alone if you go down lower like I think you're going to. If you're at a 65 cent price, it's a 9.5x. If you're at that 55 cent price, that, it turns it into an 11x. So you can definitely see a lot more growth just to the current high, let alone if you drop lower, right? If we do go above this high, and I think that we will by the end of June, the target area that I would anticipate is the 1272, or maybe somewhere in between the 100 and the 1272. Oftentimes, I don't call for a price to stop in between, but I have a hard time seeing, this already is going to be quite an accomplishment by the end of June, seeing an 8x from here, but going up as high as like a 17x or more than that, that's going to be an accomplishment itself. So plus you have $12 there. Maybe you stop a little bit below there. You find resistance at about $10. $10 here. That is at this weekly closing high. That's very close to that weekly closing high there at about $9.40, $9.30. So something in this area. There's reasons to find resistance there. Maybe you wick just above $10 or right to $10, then you close here to find resistance, back testing your prior area of resistance here for support before building higher, something like that. But I do believe that your next move, this move here, is going to take you in a very, very spectacular fashion by the end of June to new highs relative to the $6.16 price. Just how high are you going to go? I don't know. I like the $10 area. I like that. That makes sense from a psychological standpoint to me. But also 1264 could make sense from a fib basis. If we're taking into consideration other factors, like what, maybe this high to low here, maybe this fib, maybe you stop at $8, $8 to $12. I could see that, yeah, something in there. We're taking in other factors like, I don't know, what else could we look at? The market cap, maybe. Let's look at GFI versus Bitcoin. Do we have that? Is that a chart that we can see? GFI to BTC? No, it's not. So we'll compare that. GFI will make it our own chart. BTC USD, right? Coinbase, sure. GFI USD. Let's do it on the all-time history so we have it. Okay. Looking at this on a weekly basis, GFI has clearly found new lows versus Bitcoin, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but it happens to a lot of cryptos over time. It's just inevitable. Doesn't mean that you can't grow from here versus Bitcoin, and I kind of expect that you do. Double bottom on your weekly RSI, looking good, looking for some growth and recovery. Are you going to see new all-time highs versus Bitcoin? I don't know if you do. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't, right? If we're at the current price, 401, that's 401 Bitcoin, or one GFI equals 0.00001 Bitcoin. Yeah, that's what that is. I wish that I could have it to where there was finer decimals, because as you come down, this is 0.001. That's the same reading as this is over here. You don't even flip to 0.002 over, until there. It's not the most accurate, but whatever. Whenever you do move up, you see a standard retracement from here. I would at least expect by the end of June that you're at your golden ratio, right? If that's 0.004, 0.004 starts right about here, so you're a little bit above. Let's call it 0.00042, maybe 42, 43. If that's 0.00005, it's going to be a little bit above 404. Here, hold on. Let's just see. Google calculator. Calculate me, Google. No, that's not what I meant to do. Google, come on, man. Calculator. 4 zeros. 4, and we're going to say 2. We're just going to round up. 4 zeros, 4, 2. GFI to Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin, that's if it goes up to this price in Bitcoin, as Bitcoin's moving up, as GFI is moving up, what will the US dollar price be? I'm assuming Bitcoin will top off by the end of June somewhere around 170K. So let's drop that price a little bit in case my expectations are too high. Let's say 130K to start it off, and then we'll work our way up to 170K. 130K here. 130K gives you about a $5.46 price. Not bad. It's a little bit less than $6.12, but hey, not bad. I could see that happening as a minimum standard. Sure, I like that. We're being kind of conservative at 130K there. What about 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2? What about 160K if we multiply it by 160K? Topping off around the same area that Bitcoin would top off. There we go, 672. I like that, okay. And then what if GFI builds a little bit more versus Bitcoin? Maybe it doesn't stop here at the golden ratio, but it stops at these areas at the top white line here where you found resistance before. Right there, you found resistance before. Right there, support back here, support right there in that area. Maybe you go to 405, and that basically is right there at 405, isn't it? It's just a little bit, it's like perfect. It's right there. So we're going to say 405. What about 1, 2, 3, 4, 405 times 160K? What would that give us? Price is at $8. Yeah, you can see. So maybe $10. I think $10 is a good given maximum. I think I had it right the first time. I like doing the math like that. It's very simple. This is not, you shouldn't do this as a standalone metric to kind of guess where the price is going to go. It's not this simple. But whenever I get the US dollar price agreeing with what math we can construct with the underlying crypto versus Bitcoin price, whenever they line up, that's good. That at least makes me think that I'm not too crazy with my line of thinking here. If we were to see a standard retracement, nothing crazy versus Bitcoin, if we see something crazy versus Bitcoin and grow harder, okay, well then maybe I'm being too conservative with these targets. But I think that just for all intents and purposes, a target area around, I would think, higher than this high, something above 616, but below $10. I think we had it right the first time. That very much validates that notion there. So a lot of growth, a lot of crazy things coming your way, man. I think that you could see $8 or more. We're talking about a 10x move, a 12x move, more than that, less than that, who cares? It's going to be big, and it's going to happen over the coming months, I think by the end of June. Again, looking at the weekly RSI here, we have a nice little dip into the oversold zone coming out of that there. Little double bottom going on. Way lower low here, not a double bottom so much. It's not hidden bullish divergence, but it's definitely a form of divergence in my opinion. You've cooled way the hell off on your price, cooled way the hell off on your RSI, and you're ready to go. From the relative low here to your relative high, you dipped all the way down, crashing through the golden ratio on your first attempt, hitting the 786, 886 area. Oftentimes that promotes a reaction all the way up to the 382. We'll see if you get it, and it would make sense that you do have a fast reaction up there, because a V-shaped recovery to where the V began, that's actually a very common thing as well. So I think over the coming weeks, probably, I mean, if not, I don't think by the end of April you'll be up here, but early May, if not the end of April, I think that GFI is going to be at prices that are around 240 or higher. And you're at 69 cents now. So you're going to see a lot of recovery, a lot of growth over the coming weeks. And then over the coming months, you're going to carry out that momentum to new relative high prices, something between $8 to $12, $12.30, something like that. I'm thinking specifically closer to like $8, $10 maybe. I've got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.